So when you're with a great guy and the relationship is evolving and his feelings are growing, his feelings are expansive, you'll notice that his language starts to evolve. His language starts to change. There are words that men who are already committed in their heart and mind, whether they've verbalized to you that they want to be exclusive, whether they've said to you that they're in love with you, there's certain phrases, certain language that they tend to use when internally they're feeling in love with you. When internally they're like, this is the woman that I want to choose to be with. And so let's explore what some of those phrases are because they're subtle, but they're super powerful. The first phrase is this: let me take care of it. You see, when a man really cares about you, he's looking for opportunities to serve you. He's looking for opportunities to make your life easier. He's looking for opportunities to help you because he wants to feel like he's contributing to your life. He wants to feel like he's delivering you happiness. In one of the coaching programs I do called Manifest Your Man, there was a client of mine who had a vacation home up in the woods, and she was dating this guy, and he lived like an hour away. And we could tell that like he was really starting, all of his behavior was aligning with him really being into her. And he would call her frequently. He would text her. She would call, and she could just hear like the smile on his face when she would call. And this thing was going really, really well. And she went up to her vacation home. It was like up in the woods. One of her machines had broken down, this like wood chopping machine that she'd had. And so she called him up and she was like, hey, so it's going to be a little bit later to meeting you because my machine broke down. I'm going to try to fix it. And he was like, hey, well, I know you could probably fix it, but let me come over. Let me take care of it. I want to help you, and we could just spend some time. Boom, he jumped in his car, drove out there, worked on the machine, fixed it. She knew how to fix it too, but she did a great job of saying, well, if you would love that, then I will let you help me. So he had an opportunity to contribute to the connection, helped her by fixing that. She got a chance to sit back, talk with him while he fixed it, and they had a beautiful connection. And this man ultimately was full on falling in love with her. You see, men, we want to be needed. We want to serve you. We want to deliver happiness. And when a man is falling in love with you, those feelings just go even higher. And so what's fascinating is just recently on that Manifest Your Man coaching call, I had other women saying that they have a really hard time asking for what they would love, giving him opportunities to say, let me take care of that, or let me handle that for you. Because the feeling that they had, several women share this, is that they feel that they don't want to be needy, that they want to feel capable on their own. They want to show him that they're capable, ultimately sourced in this sense of they don't want to be rejected because they're feeling needy or putting pressure on him. And so here's the fascinating concept, is that if you imagine the man that you want to be with, is that guy going to be turned off or pushed away because you've got needs or that you've got some desire to be helped or served in particular ways? And I asked them that question, and both women were like, no. And I said, so here's what's fascinating. By actually asking for your needs to be met, whatever it is that you would love in that moment, to make the request, the man who's a good fit for you, the man who's going to be your man, who's going to fall in love with you, who's going to develop that relationship, he's going to lean in. He's not going to be scared away. We've got to be willing and ready to scare off the wrong guy faster to attract the right guy faster, to make it welcome that he can come into our life. And one of the women were like, I love that. I'm all about that. And I'm ready to scare off some wrong men so I can attract the right guy. Because it's true. The right guy is going to want to say, let me take care of it. Let me serve you. The second phrase a man will say is, how is that for you? And what I love about these phrases is they kind of fly under the radar. But when you unpack the mindset and the heart set of a guy who would be asking this question, where does that come from? You see, a man who's really falling in love with you is deeply interested in your experience. He's deeply interested in whether or not you like something, dislike something, and more than that, like, what is the experience like in your world? There's a great movie that captures this. It's called City of Angels. Maybe you've seen it, with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan. And there's this just extraordinary scene where they're hanging out and they go to this like farmer's market, and Meg Ryan is eating this pear. And he's like, how is that? And she's like, it's good. And he's like, what does that taste like? And she's like, you've never had a pear? And he's like, well, I want to know what it tastes like to you. Describe it to me like Hemingway. Like, describe what it's like. I would love to know. And so she starts describing this sweet, juicy, slightly grainy, like salt that melts on your tongue. She goes through this beautiful description, and you could see him just being a sponge to her world. So when your man's asking, how is that for you? Whether it's a meal that you're eating or whether it's a project. I can remember my wife, before we were married, she's a singer and she sings these amazing motivational songs called Affirma Jams. You can actually check them out. If you want to listen to them, they're on iTunes and Apple Music and all of that. But so she goes to this big conference and she sings for this women's business conference in Orange County. And when she came back, I was like, how was that? Like, how was that for you? And she was like, it was amazing. It was great. And like, she kind of stopped and I was like, no. Like, tell me. So when you got there, what happened? What was it like? Like, I wanted the play by play. And so when a man is falling in love with you, he wants to be in your world. He wants that play by play. He wants to experience what that's like and make sure that it's a good experience. When you're in bed together and he's wanting to deliver pleasure to you, he's really interested, not just in himself and his own degree of pleasure, but he's interested in you. How is that for you? Does that feel good to you? All of that energy comes from the guy who mentally and emotionally really deeply cares about you and is falling in love with you. The third phrase that you'll hear a man say is, I just wanted to hear your voice. You see, it's because you're becoming more important to him. You are an important person in his life, in his mind, in his heart. And so often he'll call you with no particular agenda. He doesn't have much to say. He just wants to hear your voice. He just wants to be in your energy. And there's something amazing that when you're falling in love with a woman, her voice has this calming effect. She has this peaceful effect. And so sometimes it'll be after work and he'll just want to call you because he's had a stressful day. And he doesn't want to bring that energy to you, but he does want to connect to your energy because you just have this way of calming him. Just hearing your voice feels so good. The same way that if you're not in love with somebody, and you may have experienced this when you don't really like somebody, the sound of their voice can be irritating. Not even what they're saying is fine. It's just the sound of their voice is like, that's a good sign that you are not into that person, probably never going to work out. But when the sound of their voice is soothing, the sound of their voice is calming, that is a beautiful indication that he's in love with you. So you notice your man calls you out of the blue just to hear your voice, just to connect with you, calls you after a hard day's work, connects with you. Now, of course, there's always moments when he's going to be really stressed. He might be working really hard. There might be delays in his ability to call and interact. But you want to make sure those aren't long-term stretches. Like some women, they make excuses. Oh, well, he's really busy at work and he's all this and that. And short sprints of that are okay for projects. But that rhythm, that consistency, that repetition is what you're looking for because you want the man who wants to hear your voice because you are becoming that important to him. And the fourth phrase that a man will say when he's falling in love with you is, we should go there, or we should do that sometime, or let's go do this. This we should go there vibe is this great indication that he's picturing you in his future, that there's no reservation, like he might not like you in a week, or he might not like you in a month. When he's buying concerts 6 months from now for you two to experience that, or he's like, hey, I found this great resort. Like in a few months, we should go to this resort. That means that there's no hesitation, no reservation in him that you're not the person that's going to be in his life. He wants you in his life and he's all on board. That kind of energy is beautiful. Now you may notice that a man starts to shift his language. There are moments when he was talking about we and let's go do that and future plans. And then all of a sudden things are shifting. He's not using the word we as much. He's talking about you, he's talking about him, and no future plans exist. That is a yellow flag. That means this guy has cold feet. This guy's not all in. I know this because this was my experience in my own personal life. I was dating my wife, Irene. We were just dating at the time. And I got right at that edge of like, oh, if we keep going, I'm going to need to propose. I really started to get in my head. I started to have all kinds of paradigms fire. My fear shot through my body. And I took a big emotional step back. And what's funny is I didn't even know that I had emotionally stepped back. I felt some fear, but I still loved her. And I was like, I can really see myself with her. And there was a part of me that wanted to marry her, a part of me in fear. And so she picked up on it. And she literally called me out. She was like, so what's going on? I was like, what do you mean what's going on? And she's like, well, I'm not hearing you say the things you used to say. And I was like, What did I used to say? And she's like, you used to make plans for us in the future. You used to use words like we, like you could see me in your future. Like I can feel your energy has stepped back. And that was a big wake up call for me. And it was a moment for me to get clear on what direction and path I was going to take. That's the time for another video. But when he's using words like, let's do that, let's go there, and making future plans with you, that's because you matter to him and he has no reservations about you and he is all in. So my question for you is, what are the things that you've heard a man say when he's falling in love with you? And of course, there's the I love you, and that's the most obvious one. But beyond that, what are the things that he's saying when he's falling in love with you, or you know that his interest in you is increasing? Go ahead and chat that in the comments below. I appreciate you. Here's to your amazing love life. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.